Okay, so let us study about some other components which we have left behind. So up to now we have discussed about the components or the pollutants like carbon monoxide, oxides of sulfur, oxides of nitrogens, and ozone, ground level ozone. So we have came across about all these components or the pollutants. So these are some other pollutants which we have to study about also. So which is smog. So smog is made up of mixture of those pollutant in the atmosphere. Actually, this is a composition which is made of smoke and fog. So there are two types where reducing smog categorized by sulfur dioxide and particulate. So there can be two types of smog depending upon the content of sulfur dioxide and the particulate matter. And the photochemical smog categorized by ozone and the oxidants. So there are almost smoke, four types of smog depending upon its content of sulfur dioxide and particulate matter, and another content which is dependent on the photochemical activity which induces ozone and oxidants. So these two components can also create a smog. Okay, so this is a typical diagram of smog. As you can see, this is a very highly dense smog. If you can observe in the picture, which is consisting about a certain amount of height. So it is not evaporating, or it is not get able to disperse, or it do not get able to, if say if the air speed is not optimum or it's not adequate, then this smog is tend to deposit in a certain level of the city, which may induce several kind of harm to the human body. Okay, so this is another picture. This picture is taken from China. So in China, almost every year, 1,000 to 10,000 people dies for the smog pollution. So the first smog related deaths were in London in 1873. Death of 500 people. Can you imagine how much worse the atmosphere is now? It actually, what it does is it limits the visibility, it decreases the UV radiation, the yellow or black color over cities, it causes respiratory problems and bronchial related deaths. This is the picture which is in our own country, and this chemical change or the appearance wise change does to our nature. See, the all the chlorophyll of the leaves color can be changed due to this smog pollution. So there are other pollutants. So here there is another component which we have already discussed about, which is carbon dioxide. So this is not commonly regarded as an air pollutant because we actually use this as our respiratory system. So we cannot claim this to be a very harmful air pollutant, but it may create harmful, it may establish as a harmful air pollutant if it takes the place of the good gases in our environment. So this is not commonly regarded as air pollutant, although man generates enormous amount of it due to the combustion process using coal, oil and gas. So as I said that this is not harmful until it replaces all the good amounts of pollutants, or which is actually contributing the good part in our environment. So it will create harm in those scenarios. So it generally creates due to the combustion process using coal, oil, and gas. And this is also a natural constituent of air. So if it does increase up to the certain level from its prescribed range, then it will cause harm. It does not take part in any significant chemical reaction with other substances in air, just the similar way the carbon monoxide has that tendency to create or to get added with other components and create a air pollutant. So carbon dioxide doesn't have that kind of tendency to create another air pollutants as such like carbon monoxide. So, however, its global concentration is rising above the natural level by an amount that could increase the global temperature enough to affect the climate markedly. Okay, so the contribution to the air pollution, or the actually the impact to the air pollution is to increase the global temperature. Okay. So next is VOC, volatile organic compounds. So this is also divided in two categories. One is bimethane and another category is a non-methane products. This is also called as NMVOCs. So methane is extremely efficient greenhouse gas which contributes its enhanced global warming. So this is also a compound which get created by some organic residuals, like which we leaves in our some if organic parts or the organic residuals decomposed, it releases a certain amount of methane gas. So it is a natural process. We cannot, we have no control over it. So the excretes the human being or the animal creature releases, from them also methane gas get created. So we have not a certain control on it, but the sources which, like in a animal husbandry sector or the animal farming sector, if we increase that on animal farming sector by our own demand or need, then the excretes due to them can create a huge level of methane gas. So this can impact, and does have a control in our hand. And the NMVOCs mean the non-methane volatile organic compounds. The aromatic compounds like benzene, toluene, xylene are suspected to be carcinogens and may lead to leukemia through the prolonged exposure. So these bad harm can cause by the VOCs. So this is a picture. See, here it is given that the VOCs are, it is the understanding, we have to understand that the environmental effects these harmful chemicals. So VOCs are substances, sorry, yes, VOCs are substances that evaporate at room temperature and are commonly found in household products and building materials. So these does have some optimum level or the range of getting dispersed or getting floated around you. It does have some optimum range. Beyond that, it can create a um, it, it can be considered to be as a harmful agent. So the exposure to VOCs can result to the asthma attacks, itchy eyes, sneezing and runny nose, headaches, and due to the long-term exposure of VOCs, it can cause the kidney damage and elevated blood pressure. Okay, next. some toxic metal like the arsenic, lead, cadmium, nickel, mercury, chromium, cobalt, zinc, and selenium. So these are some toxic metal which contributes to the pollution, harming to the soil. It can cause to the cause soil pollution, water pollution. It does not particularly get involved to the air pollution. It does get involved to the other pollutions as well. Like those metals are produced from different factories and can have immediate death effects and long-term effects on the human health. So what happens where the industries and the factories are situated, surrounding those industries and factories, most of the people lives are the village or the farmer people. So they are often get poisoned by this toxic metal, and they are not treated well to their nearest health center as well. So this is a very unfortunate event that happens regularly in our country. So this is a picture or the diagram. As you can see, these residuals or the toxic metal has been created due to the coal combustion, and this is the coal combustion residual. So this picture is not very unknown to us. So beside this, there are, yeah, you might have seen that beside these pollutants or residuals, the slums basically stays. So they are very much prone to get this toxic metal pollution or the poisoning due to the toxic metals. Okay, see, this is a diagram which in this diagram this is given. See, the toxic metal can be induced from the urban areas, from the wastewater treatment, from the industrial exposure, from the mining exposure, from the agricultural residual. But from the agricultural residual, it so it I mean it does not allow to create such toxic metals. But where does this toxic metal come from? The agriculture part. So the like the compost we use, like benzene hexachloride, like these kind of compost are used where the toxic metals are very much used. So these toxic metal can come from the agricultural part. So without using the organic compost like the cow dung and the waste material of our kitchen parts, so without using that, most of the people does is they use very highly contaminated or very high toxic metals as a compost. So from this, the agricultural, this fertilization exposure can come from the agricultural part, and this falls to its, see the local water channel, which may be the river they generally use for drinking water, or they can use for their regular household matters. See, these are the biological chemical transformation occurs in this water drainage, and see here it is given as a, that yellow triangle part has been given as a heavy metal, and the purple color square part is given as a sediment. So these sediment and heavy metal get deposits to the bottom of the bank of the river. So due to that, the biological creature or the inhabitants in this water ecology get disturbed. So the heavy metals basically come from these industries like the battery industries, and these are the anthropogenic sources of heavy metals. Mean this pollution or these parts are created by human. So from the creation of battery, mining, fly ash, smelting, steel plant, electro planting, distillery, tannery. So due to these Due to these anthropogenic activities, the heavy metals in soils are exposed. And the others are like chlorofluorocarbon CFCs and peroxyacetyl nitrate PAN. So let us discuss about these under this chart. So these are the pollutant, the carbon monoxide, and the description, the basic description or the physical appearance by which we can categorize it is that it is colorless, odorless, and the sources are basically it does comes from the motor vehicle exhaust. Indoor sources includes like kerosene or wood burning stoves, and the health effects are headaches, reduced mental alertness, heart attack, cardiovascular disease, impaired fetal development, and it can really cause death. And the welfare effects, like it contribute to the formation of smog. So welfare effects mean what it does to our total environment or the society, particular society or the part where we live. So this is the welfare effect and this is the health effects. Okay, and in the place of sulfur dioxide, how we can describe it as a pollutant. So this will be also a colorless gas, and this does dissolves in the water vapor to form acid like sulfuric acid H2SO4 and interact with other gases and particles in the air. And what are the sources of this? This is the coal-fired power plants, petroleum refineries, manufacture of sulfuric acid, and smelting of ores containing sulfur. What are the health effects we can see from the exposure of sulfur dioxide? Due to this, the eye irritation, wheezing, chest tightness, shortness of breath, lung damage, etc. And in welfare effects, it contributes to the formation of acid rain, visibility impairment, plant, and visibility impairment mean if you can it creates a certain amount of smog or fog. Due to that, the visibility impairment does occurs. Plant and water damage, aesthetic damage. Next is nitrogen dioxide. So the physical appearance of the description will be it is a reddish brown, highly reactive gas, and the sources are from the motor vehicles, electric utilities, and other industrial, commercial, and residential sources that burn fuels. The health effects are it is susceptibility to respiratory infections, irritation to the lungs, and respiratory symptoms. In example, cough, chest pain, difficulty of breathing. And in welfare effects, it contributes to the formation of smog, acid rain, water quality deterioration, global warming, and visibility impairment. So, due to sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide, the welfare effects are almost same. Okay. Next, due to ozone, the gaseous pollutant, when it is formed in troposphere, the sources are the vehicle exhaust and certain other fumes formed from the air pollutants in the presence of sunlight. So, as we have already come with the proper diagram explanation, how does this ozone get created? So the health effects are the eye and throat irritation, coughing, respiratory tract problem, asthma, lung damage, and the welfare effects are the plant and ecosystem damage. Okay, so due to lead, so the metallic, it is a metallic element as per description, and the sources are from the metallic refineries, lead, smelters, battery manufacturers, iron and steel producers. And the health effects can cause due to that are the anemia, high blood pressure, brain, kidney damage, neurological disorder, cancer, and lowered IQ level. The welfare effects are the effects animals and plants affect aquatic ecosystem. So as I have shown in this diagram, this does damage the aquatic system due to this exposure of the heavy metals. Next is the particulate matter. It is a very small particles of soot, dust or other matters including tiny droplets of liquid. So you have seen the soot thing. It explains to be, if you can see, if you burn something, a very dark smoke get releases. So that dark smoke is named as a soot here. So from the particulate matter, that physical description can be given by these. The sources are the diesel engines, power plants industry, wind blown dust, wood stoves, etc. What are the health effects we can see from this? The eye irritation, asthma, bronchitis, lung damage, cancer, heavy metal poisoning, and cardiovascular effects. And the welfare effects we can see, it is the visibility impairment, atmospheric deposition, aesthetic damage. So these are some few important pollutant like carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, ozone, lead, particulate matter, and the description, sources, health effects and welfare effects are given in this tabular manner. It will be quite easier to understand from this tabular manner, and you would be able to write it down in your exam paper. Okay. So let us come to the next topic, which is meteorology. So what does that mean? So let me show you some diagram first. So as you can see from this picture, in this picture, this is given in this axis, this is given the degree centigrades. And this diagram has been given by the times. See, the red color is given the 0 to 1 hour previous data is given by this picture. The data of 1 to 2 hour previous is given by the green color, and data of 2 to 3 hour previous is given in blue color. So from this diagram, we can able to conduct a study where a amount of atmospheric pollution, in which way or how long it is spreaded, and for what time it is spreaded. So in order to study this type of air pollution spreading, we need to know this study. Okay, so let us study about this. So what is meteorology? Meteorology is the science of atmosphere. The atmosphere is the media into which all air pollutants are emitted. So the atmospheric process, such as movement of air, wind, and the exchange of heat. The convection and radiation, for examples, to dictate the fate of pollutants as they go through the stages of transport, dispersion, transformation, and removal. The air pollution meteorology is the study of how these atmospheric process affect the fate of air pollutant. Okay, so through these certain process, the air pollutant get involved to the atmosphere. So in which way this get into the atmosphere, that particular study represented as a meteorology. Okay, so the knowledge of air pollution meteorology is used to manage and control the release of pollutants into the ambient air. This is that kind of a knowledge or study in this content. Okay, so the managing the release of air pollutants help ensure that ambient pollutant concentration comply with national ambient air quality. Mean, we have to see, there are certain amount of air quality index or ambient quality air quality index has been prescribed by the particular board at that location or at that particular state or country, whatever. So by following those range of ambient air quality, the certain amount of industrial exposure, they have to maintain those parameter or those barriers, that until this or up to this range, only the smog or the air pollutant can be released by those industry. Up to that, it can't be released. So they have to follow this national ambient air quality, and they will monitor this kind of release from the particular industries in that particular location. So the knowledge of air pollution meteorology is essential in order to understand the fate and transport of the air pollutants. So from this study, we can analyze that what it can do to the future. I mean, so if you can analyze the study at this moment of the time, so by predicting that amount of exposure of pollutants at the certain time, you can predict that what it can cause to the next 2 hour or 3 hour or 1 week. So we can predict or analyze that as well from the present or the past data. Okay. So the importance of meteorology. So understanding the air pollution meteorology. Can I? Okay. Okay, fine. So next, it says that engineers use this knowledge to help locate the air pollution monitoring stations and to develop implementation plans to bring ambient air quality into compliance with standard. Okay, so the particular purpose of understanding this topic, or engineer use this knowledge to help the locate the air pollution from the monitoring station and to develop the implementation plans that if the amount of air pollution is quite higher, so what precautions or what steps is required to be taken in future. Those kind of plans and implementation can be done from this study. Next is the meteorology is used in predicting the ambient impact. It's predicting, so it does predicts. It also help to locate. First, it's help to locate. Then we can predict from that particular data that what it can cause to in next 1 hour or 1 week or 1 month or 2 year, whatever. Okay, from that particular data. So predicting the ambient impact of new source of air pollution and to determine the effect on air quality from modification to existing sources. Okay. So when meteorological conditions develop that are not conducive to pollutant dispersion, governmental air pollution agencies must act fast to ensure that air pollutants don't build up to unacceptable levels of the air we breathe. सो जैसे कि हम लोग देखते हैं कि जो मतलब न्यूज में दिखाता है कि ये हमारा एयर पॉल्यूशन का डेटा है फॉर दैट पर्टिकुलर लोकेशन, तो उस डेटा से हमको वो डेटा जो लिया जाता है वो है उस पर्टिकुलर स्टेशन लोकेशन के स्टेशन का मेटीरियोलॉजिकल डेटा। उसी से जो हमारा न्यूज बनता है या फिर अगर कोई स्टूडेंट्स रिसर्च करे तो वहां से डेटा को एक्वायर किया जाता है। So the air pollutants don't build up to the unexpectable levels in the air we breathe. तो अगर देखा जाता है कि मेटीरियोलॉजिकल कंडीशन कोई ऐसा डेटा या फिर पॉल्यूटेंट डिस्पर्शन क्रिएट हो गया है जो कि बहुत ही हार्मफुल है, तो उसका मेजरमेंट लेने के लिए या फिर जो कि मतलब एयर पॉल्यूशन और भी इंड्यूस कर सकता है, उसका पर्टिकुलर मेजरमेंट लेने के लिए वहाँ के जो बोर्ड या फिर अथॉरिटीज है वो उसी समय प्लान करने लग जाते हैं कि वहां पे जो साइट पे उसी लोकेशन पे आसपास में जो इंडस्ट्रीज है या फिर ट्रांसपोर्टेशन व्हीकल एक्सपोजर है उसको कैसे लिमिट किया जाए या फिर कंट्रोल किया जाए। Okay, so when pollutant levels become excessively high and air pollution episode results and emissions into atmosphere must be curtailed. So due to these study and data, proper data, if it turn to be a very dangerous or very detrimental, then that excessively high and air pollution episode, this emission can be curtailed from the atmosphere by following or monitoring those data. The towns people were accustomed to receiving some emissions from the local steel mill, zinc smelter, and sulfuric acid plant, but they were not prepared for the dangerously high concentration of pollutants that may build up and become trapped over the town. So the meteorological conditions in Donora during 5 day period. So Donora is the place, it is situated in the place Pennsylvania. So in that place, in a few years back, what happened for 5 day period, there were continuous smog pollution in that particular location. So from material due to that meteorological condition, that air pollution does happen to this particular city. So the high pressure system and strong temperature inversion occurred in that particular place, and it produced light winds and dense fog. So the amount of dense fog is such vicious that in the time of morning it was quite darker due to that smog. The air was not able to move horizontal or vertical and just lingered over the town during the period of 5 days. So, this is not an event which happened just suddenly. That event did happen due to the simultaneous or continuous process of that particular location's environmental pollutant exposure. So that has to be uh, taken step before that occurrence happen. So this is a picture of the place Donora. So this is the air pollution or the smog. This smog, see, this is the industrial exposure does happen to that place, and this is the time of night. For the continuous 5 days, this happened to that place. Okay, so let us discuss about that air pollution cycle. So why do we need to understand this cycle? क्या होता है अगर हमको एयर पॉल्यूटेंट की साइकिल के बारे में पता चलेगा, तो हमको उस पॉल्यूटेंट को कैसे उस जगह से किसी और जगह पे ट्रांसफर कर सके, या फिर उस जगह से कैसे हम उनको हटा सकते हैं या फिर रिड्यूस कर सकते हैं, वी कैन अंडरस्टैंड दैट मैकेनिज्म. So we need to know that air pollutant cycle. So as you can see that the first source of air pollutant is due to the emission. Next, it is transported due to the wind velocity or the particular I mean particular existence of the building height, or the I mean the terrace height. ड्यू टू दैट पर्टिकुलर टेरेन साइट. अब क्या होता है, कुछ जगह में ऐसा होता है कि बहुत लंबी जो बिल्डिंग्स कंस्ट्रक्शन रहता है वहां पे एयर कंडेंस होने का चांस बहुत ज्यादा रहता है रेदर देन द विलेज प्लेस और द लो हाइट बिल्डिंग कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी प्लेस. सो वहां पे हमारा ट्रांसपोर्ट सिस्टम जो वेरी करेगा ड्यू टू दैट विंड वेलोसिटी. सो आफ्टर दैट साइकिल इट गेट डिफ्यूज्ड or concentrated. Okay, and the next part, the rest of the part which is not get diffused or concentrated, it deposits onto the vegetation, mean the farming vegetation we tend to eat in our daily life. The livestock mean the excretes from the animal farming. These are the excretes, and as well as the vegetation which are left behind for the animal food industry. Mean, let me just explain that livestock is जैसे कि हम farming में क्या होता है, मतलब गाय भैंस मतलब इनको खाने के लिए इनको खाना देने के लिए ये लाइफ स्टॉक डिपोजिट किया जाता है. वो क्या होता है, वो जो हमारा मतलब कट किया गया जो वेजिटेशन पार्ट्स रहता है, वो सब चीजों को एक जगह पे डंप किया जाता है इन ऑर्डर टू फीड दोज एनिमल. So these are termed as livestock. So the rest of the pollutants get deposits into those livestock as well, and eating those livestock, those animals gives milk, and we often just eat the meat of that particular animals. So we